Welcome to a More Beautiful World podcast with Susan Renee, a place for those of us with the desire to expand our consciousness, tap into higher vibrations of love, and to connect into a community where together we can make the world a more beautiful place. I'm so eager to share with you what I've learned on my journey in discovering how we're all connected and how what we do for one, we do for us all. Here, I'll be sharing my own experiences, knowledge, and expertise for how you can heal, transform, and ascend your being so that together we can create the more beautiful world we all know is possible. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of A More Beautiful World. In this episode, I'm going to share with you how to get through the dark night of the soul. I'm recording this today as I'm moving through my own dark night, and I want to teach you how I'm moving through it and how you can use certain tools and practices to move through your own darkness and your own pain as well. Today, I'll be sharing simple steps you can take to honor the pain that arises during these dark times and how you really need to feel it fully so you can move through the pain and get to the other side. Of course, I will be sharing how you do this with grace and self-compassion and more ease, because it's all about getting back to embodying your magic and shining with all of the beautiful light that you are. So if you have been navigating through some darkness, maybe through your own dark night of the soul, or even just dealing with a lot of pain and moving through a lot of pain, I want you to know how to work with it and move through it. And so if you've been there, then this episode is going to be for you. I want to kick off today with a Rumi quote, and that is, "The cure for the pain is the pain." When I was in holistic nutrition school, we learned that in order to release emotions, you have to be able to feel them fully and feel them all the way. So you can release and remove them from your body. You can, remove the emotions out of your body. And, with that, I feel like that's really what the essence of this quote is. If you have pain, right, the cure for it is to feel it and feel it fully. So the opposite of that, if you keep avoiding the pain through certain avoidant behaviors, maybe it's drinking or getting high, or even just keeping yourself really busy, and your schedule's so busy that you just try to forget that the pain is even there. You're only at that point pushing it deeper into your cells, deeper into your emotional body, your physical body, your energetic body. And that is not going to serve you, because if you stuff down the pain, it's only going to come up later, right? So again, that Rumi quote, the cure for the pain is the pain. And another quote, which I'm not sure exactly who said this or when, but it is said, the only way out is through. And in order to get out of pain, you've got to go through the pain. And so I want to start off just kind of talking through that a little bit, before we get into how to actually move through it. But again, in order to get out of pain, you do have to go through the pain. And a first reminder I want to bring into your awareness as you're navigating your darkness, as you're navigating through your own pain, is to remind yourself that all things are temporary. And as you move through this pain, tapping into that reminder, knowing that it will be temporary, will help you move through it. When it does come to a dark night of the soul or a deep depression, and just to clarify, a dark night of the soul is a huge turning point in our lives. It is a big death and rebirth process. And so in the dark night of the soul, there's a lot of pain, a lot of challenges, a lot of discomfort that comes up because we are being shown by spirit all of these things that we need to let go of, which no longer serve us. And, you know, with that, it is a death process. Okay. It's a death of old self. And that death process does cause discomfort and it does cause pain, and the pain, these lower vibrations are not serving our highest good when they linger around. So if you are working on manifesting, right, a new life for yourself, you have this new vision of yourself, you're looking for a new beginning, a higher vibration of energy, these old lower vibrations of pain cannot linger around. So it is a death of the old self, and while there is discomfort and pain in the death process, another thing I want you to remember along with that, all of this is temporary. Remember that pain is inevitable. Okay, but suffering is optional. I'm going to say that again. The pain is inevitable. The suffering is optional. Because the more you hold on to the pain and you take ownership of it, and say, this is my pain, this is my anger, this is my rage, this is my hurt. And if you pair that, with some avoidant behaviors and you're not feeling it fully, right, you're going to keep it. You're going to hold on to it. And that's where the suffering happens, when you don't allow yourself to accept it and move through it. So it really is moving through the pain, right? You don't even have to take ownership of it. It's just pain, and trust that it is a temporary experience you are having that's going to help you get to the other side. So before we get into how to really move through it, I want to share with you a story that one of my shamans recently shared with me as I've been moving through my own dark night of the soul. And that story is this, he shared with me, which we all kind of know, but it's the story of the butterfly and the metamorphosis that the caterpillar goes through to transform into the butterfly. And I think this is a beautiful lesson from Mother Nature that we need to remember during our times of darkness. So I'm sure you already know, right? The caterpillar is born and it eats and eats and eats, right? And then it goes into the cocoon and it comes out and transforms into this beautiful butterfly, right? So we all kind of generally know that story. But what I appreciated about my shaman's share in this journey, of this metamorphosis is that when the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it literally dissolves in its own enzymes and becomes this caterpillar goo mush liquefied mess before it transforms and comes out as the butterfly. So again, if you think about your own journey, your own life journey, your own spiritual journey, your own journey of healing and transformation and ascension, right? And you've been asking for these life changes and you're desiring for higher vibrations, and you want more out of your life, this death and rebirth cycle must take place. And you do have to go into your own cocoon. You do have to dissolve in your own enzymes in the darkness. And in that process, yes, there will be pain. There will be discomfort. There will be some struggle, right? Some uncomfortable shit to dissolve in your own enzymes in the darkness of a cocoon. But it's all in the name of transformation, right? It's in the name of becoming that gorgeous, high-flying butterfly. So keep that in mind as you move through that. To get to the butterfly phase, you cannot do it without dissolving in your own enzymes and turning into a mushy goo, which is, to me, in this moment where I feel like I am at. And, again, where I know I need to be in order to come out the other side as the butterfly. So as we move into talking about how you move through the darkness and how to work with your pain and move through the pain and feel it fully, I want to remind you that every dark night awaits an incredible bright light. All right. And I know when we're in the thick of it, because I've been in my own thick of it, it is fucking hard to see that light at the end of the tunnel. But it is always darkest before the dawn, right? Every dark night awaits this incredible bright light. So it is there for you. And so with that, I want to kind of talk to you about a first lesson, a first practice here that I would employ, that I've personally been employing right now as I'm moving through my own dark night of the soul. And the first practice is really acceptance. We have to accept where we're at. We have to accept the fact that there is pain. We have to accept the fact that we are this mushy caterpillar goo, that we are in the darkness. And in that, I think we need to bring in a lot of self-compassion and a lot of grace, right? We chose our path to get here. And for some reason that we may not understand fully right now, maybe when we have hindsight, we'll understand it. But for some reason, your soul has chosen this path. And bringing in some compassion and grace is so important as you accept what you are moving through. And in this acceptance, I think it's important to remember that one of my favorite quotes is, "The sweet just isn't as sweet without the sour." We would not know what the light feels like without the darkness. So in acceptance, acceptance is being open to receive. And in this openness, right, in moving kind of into receiving mode as you're in the pain, know that there are lessons here for you, if you are willing to receive them, right? Again, in the pain, in the discomfort, there can still be lessons and blessings to be received. And you may not, get them right away as you're in, the depths of despair and pain. You may not see the silver lining. You may not see the blessings, though there are blessings that come with the pain when you move through it and grow out of it. So again, my first kind of piece of advice to you is accept whatever it is that has happened. And give yourself that grace and space and compassion to move through it as you need to. And I think when you recognize and accept and open again to receiving what is right now, that starts you on this journey of feeling the pain fully. You're no longer avoiding it. You're opening up to feel it and to receive even the pain, right, and the discomfort fully. And by accepting that, you start to allow yourself this energetic space to move through it. So with that, the second piece of it, which I think goes hand in hand with acceptance, is surrender, right? And to be clear, when we talk about surrender, it is not about giving up. Surrender is about giving way. It's letting go of the resistance that you have. So again, I was talking earlier about, holding on to the pain, and this is my pain. And I think about, which I've shared in a previous podcast, this visual of, in life, we want to be floating down the river, and just going with the current, being in the flow. But sometimes when there's pain and there's difficulty and we're holding on to it, I think of it as, instead of flowing down the river, you are grasping onto, this branch at the side of the river that's infested with mosquitoes, and they're eating you alive, and you're itchy and you're being bitten, and it's fucking miserable to hold on to that mosquito infested branch. So again, when I talk about surrender, I'm talking about letting go of that branch, letting yourself start to flow down the river again. It's not about giving up. It's not about, saying fuck it and getting out of the river and just like hanging out on the shore somewhere, right? It's about letting go of that branch and getting back into the flow. It's about giving way. Right. And I believe in order to let go of that resistance, to let go of that mosquito infested branch and to surrender to the flow of the river, an important thing we can do to honor that surrender is to slow down. Slow everything down as much as you can in your life, because that allows you more space to surrender. And in this process, I think it's important to remember that the divine, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, the universe, it isn't giving you anything that is not for your greater good. This is a clearing process. This is a process of releasing and removing any lower vibrational energies, anything on your journey that is no longer serving you. It is a clearing process, right, for the higher vibration energy to come in. Going back again to the caterpillar story, this is a death process and surrendering to the death, letting go of that old self, letting go of those old ways, those old patterns, those old habits, those old relationships, whatever it may be, that allows you to clear and create space for the higher vibrations to come in. And in this process of surrender, I think a super important factor is to sink into trust. My previous episode was all about cultivating this unwavering trust on your journey. And it's a great one to go and listen to if you're having trouble in your darkness and in your pain right now, trusting, but you are on your path. And accepting where you are right now and surrendering to the process and letting go. Again, it's not about giving up. It's about giving way to what is and knowing that everything in your life is perfectly timed, that you are navigating your journey in divine timing and with divine perfection. And when you surrender to that, it again helps you move through the pain. Because by accepting it, acknowledging it, and then surrendering to it, that's going to stop that resistance. And the resistance is what keeps us in that suffering phase. And again, pain is inevitable. The suffering is optional. So we accept where we're at. We accept what's happened. We accept the pain. We surrender to it. We let go of the resistance. We slow down. We bring in, trust. And we start to feel the pain. Right? What the hell do you do now? So you're like, okay, Susan, this is all great. What do we do now? This is when we bring in some fierce self-care. Okay. And self-care is everything as you journey through a dark night of the soul. Because, self-care is how you prove to yourself that you love yourself. Self-care for yourself is proving your self-love. And I know that this is the key to moving you through the pain, to feeling it fully. So I'm going to talk about a few self-care things that I've been employing that I know can work for you too. But it's going to look a little bit different for everyone, depending on where they're at, what your life looks like. So I share these all as options. We can talk a little bit more about how to get specific for your own journey and how to bring in what you really need. But I think first and foremost, that is applicable to anyone. As you're moving through pain, you're moving through a dark night of the soul, is to lean into your tribe for support. You have to open up and be willing to ask for help. There's some quote out there that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And, my business is called the Ascension Tribe for a reason, because I do believe that we go farther together. I do believe what we do for one, we do for all. It's all connected. And when you are moving through the pain, you do not need to do it alone. If you do not have a good support system, then you reach out to a practitioner like myself or a therapist, a coach, a spiritual mentor. There are so many people out there that are ready, willing, and eager to help you. And I think when it comes to self-care, right, there's a lot we can do by ourselves, for ourselves. But a big part of self-care is acknowledging that you are a tribal being. You are a being that thrives in community, and you are not meant to go it alone. So the first part of self-care is actually to lean into others, get vulnerable, ask for support. And again, if you are listening to this and you feel like you have no one else out there, please get on my calendar because I will hold space for you. That is critical because you need to feel seen, you need to feel heard, you need to feel supported during this time. So make sure you take that very critical first step. Now, with that, make sure you're choosing the right people, and let your intuition guide you a little bit in that. Because there are some people out there that might be toxic in your lives you don't want to lean into. Let me just put that little caveat in there. So make sure it does feel like the right person for you that you can really be vulnerable with. But again, as you're journeying through the pain, through the darkness, you must put yourself first during this time. Absolute must. So I talked about earlier a little bit about slowing down. And I think in times of pain, in times of darkness, honoring your energy is so important. Got a whole podcast episode on all the tools for that. But in this space, what I want to say is anything that feels extra, right? Anything you can cut out, deprioritize, be it again, relationships, outings with friends, anything that feels heavy or it feels like it's not a full body fuck yes to you, cut it out. Because you must honor where your energy is, where your emotions are, and what you need during this time. So, honoring your energy and putting up boundaries is so important as you move through the pain because you need your container, you need your cocoon. You need to have that cocoon around you of this protective energy and honoring your own energy to support your transformation process. So make sure you are doing that as well for yourself. So one of the things, a self-care practice that I would encourage everyone to do during times of pain, trauma, discomfort, dark night of the soul, is to get into some yoga. All right. And I'm not talking about like going and, doing a bunch of hot yoga or anything that's super draining. I mean, hey, if that's what really calls to you, go for it. But yoga is amazing for moving trauma and moving pain out of the body because by use of breath and movement, we actually move the emotions out of our body, right? Emotion literally stands for energy in motion, right? So as we move, and we use our breath, we are clearing out emotions. We are clearing out energy from our body. One of the very first things I did, and my most recent, so I'm moving through trauma. I'm moving through my own dark night of the soul. I had, the PTSD triggered. And the very first thing when I asked myself, what do I need right now, was yoga. Because I know how important it is for me, and really for everyone, to get that pain and trauma out of the body. So even if it's just, some gentle movement at home, and some yoga poses, or doing some breath work, YouTube is an amazing resource for yoga, and breath work. That will help you to transmute that pain, to move that energy out of your body, which is so important. The next self-care practices I want to share and moving through the pain is really meditation and prayer. And I talk a lot about both. But what I want to say in the pain, and darkness space is that sometimes meditation can be difficult and it can feel really heavy. So when I am in my, dark night of the soul times, like I am right now, and I'm feeling all of this pain, I find prayer works better for me right now, and asking for support from my angels and my spirit guides and my ascended masters and, praying to spirit, universe, God for what I want to change, praying for support, praying for brighter days, right? And so there is a bit of meditation I've been doing, but I found myself way more called to prayer during this time because it does feel more supported for me. So that's where you have to use a little discernment, in your own self care practices. Though I find meditation and prayer can both be very beneficial to help you move through the pain. Another big piece is to nourish yourself with high vibe foods as much as you can. This one can be difficult because a lot of times when we move through pain, we can lose our appetites, or on the reverse side, we can want to get into emotional eating patterns and habits where we're eating a lot of food that is not high vibe, that is not good for us. So having, again, just this awareness on the fact that, food can be used as medicine and foods can improve your moods. So the more that you are in the pain and you're feeling through it, to help you raise your vibration and move through the pain and move out of it, those high vibe foods, organic, nutrient dense, plant based foods are going to help you navigating your journey through the pain. Another huge option to take advantage of for self care, if you can, get outside. Okay, Mother Nature offers us so much healing. When we get our skin in contact with the earth, it's called earthing or grounding. We literally start to absorb ions from the earth's electromagnetic field that helps our parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system to come online, which that rest and digest is all about calming down. Right. And very often, I could do a whole episode on, just the nervous system and what it goes through when we're in pain, right? It gets into this chronic fight or flight mode. So nourishing your nervous system through getting outside is so beautiful. And I'll talk a little bit more about the nervous system in a second, but the grounding, the earthing, the sunshine for your vitamin D production to help boost your moods are all great ways to help provide you the healing and the support as you feel the pain and move through the pain. And you can even, as you sit on the earth, you can imagine Mother Earth taking the pain away from you. It's one of the practices I always employ when I'm moving through times of darkness. I ask our Earth Mother to take the pain and to transmute it into something more beautiful and for the greater good of all, because she is capable of that. So get outside and use the amazing, beautiful powers of our Earth Mother, to which we are all deeply connected, right? And let her support you. Let her sunshine and her beautiful grass and trees, help you move through the pain. It's a beautiful, easy, very affordable option for you to move through the darkness and to get back to the light on the other side. So I touched on this a little bit, and it's one thing I kind of want to end on with self-care as we talk about navigating, through this dark night of the soul. It really is caring for your nervous system. Anytime we are triggered with trauma or pain, intense feelings of love pain, it usually throws the nervous system into a chronic state of fight or flight. We're producing a bunch of cortisol. We're very stressed out. We're anxious, we're depressed, right? And when you are already in that heightened state with your body and with your nervous system, it might not always be good to go out and go for a run or go hit it really hard at the gym, because that can further spike cortisol and that can further activate your fight or flight nervous system. So I've found personally with myself and with clients who I've helped move through this, that taking more restful and slow approaches to keep your body in that parasympathetic mode, in that rest and digest space with the nervous system, helps so much more as you're navigating the pain and moving through the darkness. So things like certain herbal teas, getting in sleep, naps when you are called to them. I love restorative yoga and yin yoga and yoga nidra to help you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Again, meditation can be a beautiful way to get the rest and digest nervous system going. Epsom salt baths, listening to gentle music. In the description below, I have an entire self-care guide available to you. And a lot of those are all in the space of calming the nervous system. So as you are self-caring through it, keeping the mindset of rest and digest and honoring your parasympathetic nervous system is really important, because that is where the healing can happen. And that's going to be the space where energetically you're going to be able to start coping with the pain and coping with the discomfort and feeling it and moving through it. So again, you can get to the other side of it. Because remember, every dark night awaits an incredible bright light. Okay, if you want to move away from the pain, if you want to move through it and get to that incredible bright light on the other side, remember the Rumi quote that I shared at the beginning. The only cure for the pain is the pain. And the only way out of the pain is through it. So if you take what I shared in this episode, remember you have to accept the pain. You have to accept it fully, accept where you are at right now with so much love and compassion and grace. And then surrender yourself to feeling it. Again, it's not about giving up. It's about giving way, allowing that pain to come into your body, allowing yourself to feel it and feel it fully and surrender to it. Let go of the resistance. And once that pain is there and you're feeling it and you're moving through it, then get into some fierce self-care. Because that fierce self-care, as you're feeling the pain and moving through the pain, that self-care is what's going to carry you through day by day to the other side, to that bright light. So I want you to use the lessons I shared today as your own guiding light. As you move through your darkness, you move through the darkness and through the pain. And while it may bring huge amounts of discomfort, remember the story of the caterpillar and its transformation and metamorphosis process. Remember that your time as caterpillar goo and mush, as you're in the cocoon, right? It is only temporary. And what you're moving through and that discomfort and pain as you're dissolving in your own enzymes, right? That is a necessary step in order for you to transform into the butterfly. And of course, as always, if you want support working through your pain or your own dark night of the soul, I am here for you. I know and I trust so fully that everything that unfolds in my journey only strengthens my ability to hold space for you, to help you heal, to help you transform, and to help you ascend. So if you do feel you need support on this journey, make sure you use the link below, sign up for the free clarity call session, and I would be so happy to just hold space for you as you're navigating through the darkness. But ultimately, my dear tribe, remember, this is all about the mission of making our world a more beautiful place. And that does begin within, right? What we have going on in our inner world reflects in our outer world. So clearing out the pain, right? Feeling it fully, letting it go, and honoring this process and surrendering to this process, all of that is in the name of self-love and better loving ourselves. And that does make this a more beautiful world. So honoring the pain, honoring the darkness, it is a big part of self-love, and loving ourselves through the journey and having grace and self-compassion and accepting and surrendering to what is showing up for us. This is a huge act of self-love, and it's part of our human journey. So as we honor the darkness, we honor the pain, and we move through it. Remember, it is to raise your vibration. It is to get on with your journey. And in that, it's going to help raise the vibration of our planet during this massive time of transformation and ascension. And that is what is going to make this a more beautiful world for us all. So my heart is with you, sending out lots of love and light right now to each of you who are listening to this podcast as you are journeying through your own pain, through your own darkness. I am there with you. And if you need me, I am here. Please reach out. But as for this podcast, that is all for today. And until next time, much love to you all, tribe. Hey, tribe. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this podcast, make sure to like the video below and then click subscribe so you never miss an episode. And remember, I've got lots of free resources available to you to support your healing, transformation, and ascension so you can help in making this a more beautiful world for us all. Make sure you check them out in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in, tribe. And until next time, much love to you all.